Hello, Gemini. Welcome to Intuitive Gems. My name is Desiree, and today I'll be doing your money, wealth, finance, prosperity, abundance reading for the month of May 2021. If this is your first time catching one of my readings, I do want to say welcome, and I invite you to subscribe because I do these readings each and every month, and I would love to share your money message with you. For the readings this month, I'm going to be using my white tarot deck. I will clarify with my Radiant Rider-Waite Tarot, and then I will close out your reading, Gemini, with a Secret Language of Color Oracle card. I'm really ready, Gemini, to get right into your reading. So I'm not going to waste any time. Let's go ahead and see what is showing up for you as it relates to money, wealth, finances, prosperity, for the month of May 2021. Interesting. All right, Gemini. I can tell you right off the bat, you're going to be doing some work here. I want to say independently, but it's more like you're controlling the process. You're controlling the flow of how quickly money comes to you. And I know that probably sounds kind of weird, but when I see the Emperor card is the card of either control. The other thing about the Emperor card is it also means a card of power. So Gemini, you're definitely going to be in control and in power of your money for the month of May. However, you're going to have to do it in a way that it's like you interact with other people, but when all is said and done, it's like you are doing this on your own. Now, I'm not sure how this is going to apply to everyone, and it probably won't apply to everyone. However, you have to take control of your financial situation. I'll say it that way. Regardless of if you are single, if you are in a relationship, if you have kids, if you're a student, whatever the case may be, your ultimate financial success is going to really, really depend on your own level of control, maybe even self-control. Right? How disciplined are you? How committed are you to really winning the financial goals that you set for yourself? You know, how much of the self-mastery do you contain in order to make it happen? Now here we do see the Strength card, which means you definitely have what it takes. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to be easy, and I'm not saying that, you know, all of a sudden everything you need is just going to show up at your door. But at the same time, you're in a very good place that you have the drive, the determination, and the willpower to go ahead and make this work. So, you know, I hope that that makes sense for some of you, because I'm feeling like some of you have been, you know, feeling like things have been out of control and that you don't have any say in what happens in your financial life. You have been feeling like, oh, with this economy, with the job situation, with business, with my investments, I just can't control everything that happens. And sometimes you have to just kind of roll with it. That may be true to some degree, but the final say is what you are willing and not willing to do. How much are you willing to grind? How much are you willing to be determined in order to change and turn things around? Next, we got the Six of Cups in the reverse. This means somebody showing up from your past. It's probably not going to be the most beneficial reconnection for you. However, be careful, because it could end up costing you money. Maybe somebody shows up out of the blue and says, hey, can I borrow some money? Or maybe someone from an old job, maybe someone you went to school with shows up again. The reconnection, while it may be nice, it's not going to do anything that's going to be beneficial for you long term. Especially it won't be beneficial financially for you. So just be careful, if anybody shows up from your past, anyone or anything showing up from your past roughly in that first week of May. Ten of Pentacles, we talked about this. This is kind of like working in a group. However, you're still going to be doing your own independent, separate thing. But you can definitely leverage the efforts and the skills and the talents and the knowledge of other people for your own benefit. And I hope you do that, Gemini. You know, there's other people who know things that you probably can use in order to grow yourself or to grow your business or to increase your own wealth. Okay, so make sure you tap into that when it does, you know, make itself available. Seven of Wands in the reverse. This means conversations are good. Communication is good. You know, people understand you. You make very clear what it is that you're trying to do. You communicate your goals, and people, you know, they respect them. And I think sometimes, you know, we have to communicate to ourselves what it is that we're trying to do, because then that makes it easier to kind of communicate that same energy to other people, and they're either on board in support or they're not. But either way, once you're clear about what it is that you're trying to do, how much money you're trying to make, what your business, you know, is going to look like, once you're clear on that, then people will pick up on that energy as well. Finally, we got the King of Pentacles. This is the card of financial literacy. This is the card of investments. This is the card of, you know, making some good, solid financial decisions based on your own research, your own experience, and your own education. Okay, so the King of Pentacles is a very, very smart, this is the card you want to see when you are trying to invest, okay, because this means you're on the right track. Whatever it is that you need, you will have, and it will come to you, so you can make some profitable investments, so you can make some really profitable choices. The other thing about the King of Pentacles is that he's a very smart investor. He's a very smart businessman. All right, so this could be the energy that you are in at this time, or this could be somebody showing up to assist you in that way. All right, Gemini, let's see what else shows up for you as it relates to money, wealth, finances, prosperity, and abundance for the month of May 2021. What do we need to know for the sign of Gemini? All right, so as we move through May, you're going to be feeling really, really encouraged, and communication is just going to be getting better and better. And I think this is going to be excellent, because for those of us who are trying to create wealth and abundance and all the good things in our life, we have to communicate that, not only verbally, but also energetically. And it's very clear, Gemini, that you are definitely in that flow. But let's start here with the Nine of Cups, one of my favorite cards. This is the wish card. Whatever it is that you've been wishing, hoping, praying for, Gemini, it starts to show up for you once we hit that second week of May. So get ready, because you are going to be celebrating the wish card. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean your wish is granted all in one shot, you know, but you are moving in that direction. There are opportunities coming to you so you can make it happen, or so you can have that experience. You're going to be celebrating. This is so good, because, you know, I just feel like I said, because you are very, very strong energetically about what it is you're trying to do, people resonate with that. You connect with people who are kind of moving in that same direction. And, you know, it's just a really good thing, because you connect with the right people at the right time. Next, we have the Star card. Now, the Star card is the card of health, wellness, vitality. When it shows up in the reverse, you know, sometimes that means we have to pay attention to the physical, right? Not everything happens on the spiritual plane. We are spiritual beings having a physical experience, and, you know, part of our responsibility is to maintain our physical body, is to maintain, you know, good health to the best of our abilities. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, we all have to do, you know, extreme things in order to achieve certain levels of health, but we do have to do better, you know, probably than what most of us are doing, especially now, considering we are in a global health crisis, and I think you all know what I mean. So pay attention here. This is giving us a heads up that you want to take care of yourself. Make sure you're practicing good self-care. You know, get enough sleep, take your vitamins, eat as best as you can. You know, you don't have to follow a particular diet, but you need to make sure that your body is in balance. You need to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Why? Because health truly is wealth. You know, you don't want to be running your business from a hospital bed, right? Let's see. Next we have, oh, this is what I was talking about. You've got good communication. You've got encouragement here. Like I said, energetically, you're resonating with people. They're understanding, what it is that you're trying to do. People are really connecting with you. Your communication is very, very strong once we hit towards the end of the second week of May, Gemini. You are just a walking, talking, living example of what it is that you're trying to do. Now, that's not saying you've already arrived at your dream goal or whatever, but you're definitely moving in that direction. You're becoming and you're communicating who it is that you're trying to be. All right, so let's continue on and see what else shows up for Gemini as it relates to money, wealth, finances, prosperity, and abundance for the month of May 2021. What do we need to know for the sign of Gemini? All right, Gemini, so you can look for probably a slowdown in the workflow once we hit the second half of May. I say that because we got the Eight of Pentacles in the reverse. This talks about the pacing of work. This talks about the workflow. If you have a business, things might kind of temporarily take a dip once we hit the second half of the month. Now, it doesn't mean that it's going to be that way permanently, but all businesses have ebbs and flows. Every industry has cycles, and they have seasons that are peak, and then they have seasons that are not so peak. Okay, so just understand that you may have a little bit of downtime, and it might work out to your advantage. Next, we have the Page of Pentacles in the reverse. This is some unexpected news coming in as it relates to your money. Now, the thing about the Page of Pentacles in reverse is I always get that this means there's something coming through that kind of falls short of your expectation, okay? The Page of Pentacles means you're getting a message and some news as it relates to money. However, something probably doesn't quite hit the mark, right? So let's say maybe you applied for a loan or something like that, and you were expecting $20,000, but you only get approved for $10,000. It's not necessarily bad news, but it's not exactly the news you were hoping for. Next, we have the Queen of Swords here. Now, the Queen of Swords, sometimes she can be a little bit persnickety. She can be a little bit making no apologies, no hesitations for cutting something off or even removing herself from a situation. I have a feeling that you are probably going to be stepping back a little bit, Gemini, once we hit the second half of May. Not because anything is wrong, but you see that probably there's certain things that just don't need your time and attention. So you decide to take a step back, and you do so without any explanation or any type of apology, right? Because you're just like, this isn't working. I'm moving on, and that's it, and you don't have to discuss it. You don't have to defend or justify. None of that. It's like you're ready to cut something off, or you're ready to step back, and that's what happens. Next, we have the Four of Cups. This means that there's going to be some opportunities coming your way, especially as it relates to money. Could be something work-related. I'm feeling like it's work-related for a lot of you. Excuse me. Something work-related in the sense that you may not necessarily be excited about it, but there's potential in a new opportunity. You're just going to have to weigh the pros and cons, because this is something that could benefit you long-term. However, the potential or the opportunity itself may not particularly be that exciting. It may not necessarily be something that you want to do. However, there is going to be a little nugget in there, so you're just, like I said, you're going to have to weigh it and see if it lines up with your long-term goals, especially with, your financial goals of what you're trying to do and what you're trying to create. Next up, we have the Queen of Pentacles. Now, I like her because she's a very conservative, she's a very conservative investor. And now, of course, that applies to money, but it can also apply to other areas of our life, right? It's like we make a very thoughtful decision, when we decide to move forward with something. And that's the energy that she brings here. It's not about rushing into a brand new opportunity because it sounds good, but it is about having thoughtful consideration when we are moving into that next step or that next phase of our life, especially as it relates to our money. So I like to see this card because it means that, the plan is well thought out. The decisions are not irrational, and that it's something that is not going to cause a lot of stress or a lot of risk. Finally, we have the Nine of Wands here. This is the card of discouragement. We saw him here. Now this is encouraging, but here now he feels a little discouraged. And the thing is like, I want you to understand, Gemini, is that all of us are going to be going through some ups and downs throughout the month. And I think too that a lot of this has to do with normal everyday experience. We're all trying to do the best we can with the level of consciousness that we're at. And we're all trying to make our lives the best that it can possibly be. Sometimes things work, sometimes things don't, but that's all part of the journey. That's all part of the experience. So if you are feeling a little discouraged by the time we hit the second half of May, please understand that it's normal. There's nothing wrong. You didn't make any huge mistakes, but that's part of life. Some days are great, some days aren't so great, but it doesn't mean, quote, that there's anything wrong. All right, Gemini, let's continue on here and see what else shows up. As it relates to money, wealth, finances, prosperity, and abundance. For the month of May 2021. All right, so we got quite a few repeaters here. And when all is said and done, Gemini, I have a feeling you're going to be going your own way, doing your own thing. Let's start here with the Hierophant. Now, interesting thing about the Hierophant is this is someone who really works within the system of what is set up for him or her. And I know that probably sounds abstract, right? The Hierophant talks about sometimes the moral structure of what's going on. But the other thing that the Hierophant does is it establishes points. It establishes parameters of how things are going to be done in order to kind of move up into this next level of experience here. So what I'm picking up from the Hierophant here is that you're going to work within the system of what you're given, depending on what that is for you, whether that be your job. Every organization has a structure, and there's a definite, chain of command when things happen. If you're trying to move up that corporate ladder, so to speak, there's definitely a way of how it is to be done. If you're trying to build a business, it's the same thing. Depending on your industry, the type of business, what it is exactly that you're doing, you're working within that frame and you're working within that structure in order to make things happen for you. And it's going to be a success. Now, some people, they go against the grain and that works out better for them. However, for you, Gemini, I'm feeling like by the time we close out May, you're going to see a very clear path of how you can achieve success. It's almost like the plan has been laid out for you and you just have to follow the steps. And when you follow the steps, you get the results, the exact results that you desire. Next, we have the Nine of Cups. Now, we saw that card here. This is the Wish card. Again, I have a feeling that these two cards are related here because they're in the same kind of line here. This is probably just a continuing on here. Remember, this is you getting what you wish for. The first few indicators of it are here, but by the time we close out the month, you're still going to be getting your wishes fulfilled. It's just going to be maybe, I don't know, a little bit, maybe to a lesser degree. Doesn't mean that your wish isn't happening. It's happening. It's just happening. Maybe in a different way, maybe in a different time frame, but what you want is on its way, okay? We also have the Ten of Pentacles. This is where I said, we have a repeater here, but this is where I said I feel like you're going to be going your own way. You're going to be doing your own thing independently, because I also see the Lover's card here, which is a divine separation. And it means that you're going to be, again, kind of breaking away. And we talked about that here with the Queen of Swords. You kind of just stepping away from something. You working solo. Sometimes that's the best way to make things happen. You don't need to wait on somebody else. You don't want to be on anybody else's schedule. You need to do your own thing. That's going to be the most successful route for you, and also the most profitable, the wealthiest, the most successful at this particular time. Next, we have the Ace of Cups here in the reverse. This means that something starts, but it doesn't quite take off to what you were expecting or what you were hoping for. Sometimes I see this when, when we do relationship readings, it's like, oh, things start off beautifully, but then things kind of fizzle out. The way that applies here in a money and wealth reading is that sometimes things kind of start, they look promising, it looks like there's something that has a lot of potential, but then nothing ever comes of it, okay? And sometimes you just have to be in the place where you have to let it go, at least for now. It doesn't mean that you have to kind of, think that it's doom and gloom and it's never going to happen. But if something is not giving you positive feedback, be okay with releasing it. Again, falls back onto this Queen of Swords energy about cutting stuff away without having to explain it or justify it. Next, we have the Knight of Wands. Now, the Knight of Wands in the reverse talks about some type of assistance you were expecting that doesn't quite show up. Maybe someone says, yes, I will come and help you paint your house. And then they show up, but they show up like 2 hours late or something like that. They're better off just not coming at that point because, you could have hired somebody else to do it in that time frame. But whatever the case may be, don't feel disappointed if somebody makes promises and they don't necessarily follow through. However, do pay attention to it, that this is someone you probably don't want to work with in the future. Next, we got the Six of Pentacles. Be careful about being overly generous, okay? Sometimes we can give too much. Sometimes we can overgive because we feel a little bit overconfident about our skills or about our budget or about who we are and what we're doing, or sometimes we do it just out of ego. We want to be seen. I'm not saying that's necessarily you, Gemini, but just be careful about overgiving, right? Because you don't have to prove anything to anyone. You are worthy just because you exist. Whether you give or whether you don't give, it doesn't matter. You're still going to be a success. Now, usually through the evolvement of becoming a successful person, you will find a way to give back. But don't feel like you have to give back because you owe it as part of, maybe your payment in order to be successful. It's all about, you being the best you, and that is the gift that you give to the world, because that in turn supports other people as well. Finally, we talked about divine separation here. Like I said, I feel like by the time we close out May, Gemini, you're going to be doing your own thing. You're going to be moving and grooving. Things are going to work, and you just don't have time, to wait for other people to catch up to where you are. You've got this. You know where you're going. You know what needs to be done, and you make it happen. And you're not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. You're not trying to, toss people, over the side of the boat. That's not your intention. But at the same time, you wait for no one. You do not put your life or your business or your plans on hold for anyone. All right, Gemini. So I hope this reading was helpful. Like I said, I see a lot of you doing some solo work here. Solopreneurs, independent study, all those things where you just kind of are doing your own thing. Ooh, okay, so this is a Secret Language of Color Oracle card, and you got card number 32, which is Jade, and the card is Take Action. And if I couldn't have picked a better card myself, as far as this really echoing what we talked about in your reading today, taking action, you doing things on your own, stepping out in faith, being proactive on your own behalf. That's what it's all about, Gemini. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this reading, and I hope it was helpful. I want to thank you so much, Gemini, for spending this time with me. We'll do it all again next month.